All right, good evening. We'll call to order the East Lyme Planning Commission regularly scheduled meeting for this Tuesday, 3/10/26, at 7 o'clock. We'll do a roll call. We'll start from the right.
Nina Franco.
Tim Leducer.
Brian Bomback.
Rick Gordon.
Nick Metapace. Don Finney.
All righty. Let's rise and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's roll right into additions to the agenda. Do we have anything for tonight? All righty. We'll move on to call for public delegations. Public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission about certain matters. Items, referrals, or applications subject to a decision by the commission, a public hearing, or in litigation may not be discussed. During delegations, the members of the commission will not directly answer questions or make comment. Do we have anybody that wishes to speak at this time? Seeing nobody, we will continue on. Reports, communications, I don't know if we have anything.
Yeah, I did, hopefully you all received the zoning liaison schedule. If you have any, I just put by alphabetical order, obviously can be conflicts.
Did you send that out when?
I thought I sent it out Friday.
Yeah, I saw it.
Email?
Okay. I'll look for it. I didn't see it. Thank you. All righty. Did anybody have a chance to go to the last zoning meeting?
I saw my name on the list for March 5th, right after the meeting. I was away anyway. But I saw the March 5th meeting via YouTube. They approved the issue with the chickens. They amended the zoning regulations to permit the keeping of poultry 6 or less in a particular zone. They okayed the replacement of the seawall in the Cooks Park. I guess that has to go through, Board of Selectmen and Finance, just to finance that. They did mention, I guess I should mention this, a scam or something on the website, I guess, that a letter an application was approved by the planning, was signed by the chairperson, I don't know if it was you or me, whatever, that they mentioned at the zoning meeting, that scam, they said they approved through the application, the person was looking for money. They couldn't go through the application. I guess they were looking for some money through PayPal or whatever they were doing.
Yeah,
So
somehow information, I guess, from applications, such as email addresses and things like that, are being taken and used, and applicants are being contacted saying the town may have approved your applications. Please send us money in return for a copy of the permit. So it is a scam. So please be aware.
thanks.
We're working with IT to see if we can minimize some of that. Talking with our local staff, just staff in-house. One of the ideas that we jack emails, and we'll have it in the file. It'll be in the hard copy. It is public information, so that there's the fine line of what we make available. We've had issues in regards to pending subdivisions. We had some minutes that went out. I wrote a memo, and attached to that memo was a copy of a check for the Carriers Construction Company, and it was all in relation to the bond release. Well, that check was used to I guess, do some criminal activities that we didn't understand. So it created some havoc for the carriers. So it's out there, but again, this information is public information. Obviously, routing numbers and things like that are on checks. I guess we're in policy now. We're not going to be publishing that, so we have to redact that.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Ex officio, I don't see Cindy here. So we'll just move on. Planning Director, Gary?
I guess I'm sure seen the paper, but it appears that Ms. Collins has resigned from the Board of Selectmen due to a conflict of interest, so that's what we thought she's not here this evening. But other than that, I don't really have any other report. I was anticipating a public hearing this evening to go forward, but that looks like it's going to be continued. So, just keep it short.
Okay. Subcommittees, last meeting, Gary, we talked about standing up an affordable housing subcommittee. I don't know,
Sure.
okay.
So I did send out, and I know it got into the zoning commission's packet, I've sent out a letter inviting them to appoint 2 members from their commission to join us in a subcommittee. The letter is also going out to the Water and Sewer Commission, and various other boards to create this committee. We still will, I think once we get the town boards and committees together, we'll then kind of figure out who we can appoint as members at large, just to have some general input from the outside. So we're moving that ball along.
Excellent.
That being said, I will add that there's a lot of, I guess, confusion around this legislation. March 3rd, we were supposed to get some clarification from OPM on a number of things. I think some of that has been provided, not in full. And in my discussions with several planning firms, and we've asked them for proposals to help us in the development of a housing growth plan. So I'm looking forward to receiving some of that. It looks like in those discussions, we really won't have a good idea exactly what's going to really be needed in that plan until the end of the year. So by taking the actions we are, we'll be in, I think, good shape by December, and maybe right on target. I can also, we'll be working with Dan in terms of budget. Obviously, if we bring on a consultant to help us draft this thing, there's going to be some expenditure of funds.
Any grants available to us again?
That I don't know as of yet. Last time we had a grant, they had a $15,000 awarded grants for developing the affordable housing plan. Basically, I think the consultants are thinking, the affordable housing plans were 15, these will probably be about 20 to 30,000, somewhere in that range to develop, to be a little more involved. And that would not be, it may or may not include, the necessary changes to the zoning regulations and have them help craft that idea as well. Although I think those zoning changes may have to come before the housing growth plan. I'm not 100% certain there.
Okay.
We'll get clarification from the attorney on that. So we're still muddling through the legislation and the requirements. There's a lot in that bill.
Okay, thanks for that. Chairman, I don't have anything to add at this time. So we'll roll into approval of minutes, meeting minutes for February 10th. Is there any
I don't believe
discussion?
I have a copy.
Does
of
anybody-
this.
I don't think we have a copy.
Pull it up.
You can pull it up.
I have a copy on the screen
Okay,
here.
okay.
So, you know, when you're in school.
I have it on my device, Gary, so I'm good. Thank you.
Yep, that's good. Okay, go on, unless anybody wants to.
I was not here last meeting, so I'll have to just cross me off the roll call there.
I think that noticed that for the roll call, that I believe that Tim and, oh, no, it does just say Tim, excuse me. Yeah, my mistake, yeah. I thought it did.
I was only here in spirit.
Yeah, I just definitely thought it
I
said.
think Michelle took Tim's place, Michelle Maitland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's it, I think. I don't think Bill was here
Was
either.
Bill, it wasn't Bill.
no, he
it
was he sat.
It was,
But I think that was the meeting
it
before
was,
that.
it was Kevin and
No.
Michelle last meeting, right? You
I
said.
think it was. I think it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Bill?
There, so.
The meeting,
I
the
do
meeting
not
before.
believe that Bill, yeah.
Oh, it was the meeting. I'm sorry, it was the meeting before. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or
and
last month.
also Nina wasn't here. I don't know if she's,
Yeah.
oh, she's not listed anyway, so you're good.
Because we sat, I think it was 5 people for that time, so it was
Yeah,
Rich,
might have
Brian,
been,
myself, and Kevin and Michelle.
Yeah, it might have been cut and pasted from the
Yeah,
meeting before.
That's the only thing I see wrong.
okay. So yes, I think
Otherwise,
we will-
good. Motion to,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
motion to approve the February 10th minutes
As amended?
as amended.
Yeah. Second?
Vote? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All against? None? Abstaining?
Staying.
Okay. 1, so 5-1. All righty. So that, next is the public hearing for 29 Upper Walnut Hill Road re-subdivision. We can open this up. Is there, should we open it up?
Yeah, you need to open the public hearing.
Okay, so do we have to do a motion to do that?
Nope, you just open it.
Just, okay, so we'll open up the public hearing on 29 Walnut Hill Road. Is anybody here?
I do not see the applicant here this evening, and based on my correspondence with them, I did not expect them to be here, as I did advise them that they didn't need to be, in the sense that we're not really ready to go forward. They're not. We're waiting on a health review to be completed, and in our discussions internally, looks like they might need to request a waiver for open space and resolve, because they're not showing any on the plan. So while it is less than 4 lots for our regulations, they have to request that as a waiver. In addition, they're asking for an exemption from section 6A of the regulations for stormwater management. That too is a written waiver request for the exemption. In the notice that went out, I don't know actually provides that information. So I don't know that there was proper legal notice for those waivers to be granted. So the fact that they subsequently, as per my, I've advised them to submit a letter requesting the stormwater waiver. So I think that would be resolved, and I think that's something that the commission has some discretion over, and could even condition the application to meet the regulation. In terms of the open space, they'll either have to come up and provide it, or I would think possibly withdraw if we apply and renotice altogether if they do not provide 100%.
And I just wanted to state in their application here, it states that they did not require free space or open space, but we went over the regulations and clearly do. I just wanted to state that for the record
So their narrative is indicating that they don't require it, but
when they do.
in fact they do. So from their perspective, they were thinking they probably had a complete application. So I'll work with them, I'll talk with the applicants,
Okay.
we can straighten it out and correct that. As the public hearing is open, there is a public hearing tonight, I'm not sure if anyone is here from the public who wanted to speak on it. I'd certainly allow them to approach the mic and
Yep.
if they have anything to say, and just know that we will be continuing the hearing to the next regular scheduled meeting.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this applicant?
Nancy Kalau, 80 Grassy Hill. This property is now zoned for 5 acres, which is huge, so that they should not be subdividing
I
for
believe,
regulations?
I believe the zoning is, it's like 4.5 acres and
No,
it's,
the zoning is 5 acres. I wrote it, I know.
okay. It's 200,000 square feet?
Correct.
Okay. But the lot's over 10 acres, I believe.
But he's got 3 dwellings on the house, on the lot already.
Uh,
And now he wants another one.
I believe there's just
Just 2?
one.
Right
Just
now,
a two-lot.
The parcel in question is got only one single-family home on it. There's a number of parcels, and I'll bring up the GIS map, because the locus map only shows their site on here.
That would be helpful.
Yep.
This is the subject parcel. Where my cursor is the existing single-family house. The Gano family does own, I believe, this lot to the south, the lot south of that, and even the one south of that. I think, here's the north is the compass. Okay, so this is, Jeff Gano's. So he's looking to do a lot up in the front here. The total acreage here is 10.76 acres.
So technically, he could have two lots there.
Correct.
If he had access, and if stormwater drainage was okay. And since he wants to put a house at the top of the hill, and it all drains into the Cranberry Meadow Brook at the bottom of the hill, I could see a potential issue here.
Part of the application will be addressing the stormwater management plan, right? That's part of the application.
I'm just trying to understand
Yeah.
what he wants as opposed to what we can give.
He wants a single-family house lot in the front. So he's got a proposed home on the parcel.
So what does that do for him for access to the other lots?
Nothing. I mean,
Does that make them,
it doesn't do anything to these other lots. What he's had to do to configure this was to create a long, narrow strip, 10 feet wide to the back of this, taking 5 acres in the back of this lot and combining it with the 1 acre up front. And that's not because of the location of his property. You couldn't just easily split it in half and make it look like a flag lot. So there's something like, to the far south of it. That would preclude them from coming into these other 2 lots and going the road. They own both, so depending on, I'm assuming, assumptions here, but these 2 rights of way, that's 25.05 feet, so they're 50 feet wide, 2 lots. So that's wide enough for a town right of way, if they want to go the road. Whether or not they do, I don't know, I don't think so, in talking to Tom, in particular, was telling us to doing that. My discussion with him, while the increase in the zoning, underlying zoning district from RD 80 to RD 200 adversely affected his proposal, because the initial meetings with Mr. Mulholland and I, his proposal was underneath RD 80 zoning, and he was able to create this and have the geometry of the lots look like a traditional flag lot. When he came back to make his application, he was disappointed to find out that he had completely reconfigured the design because the zoning increased. So while it was adversely impacting him, he still indicated he was supportive of the increase in zoning designation. So, ironically, that was interesting. So just, to me, I don't know what his future intentions are for the rest of the property. You have to ask him. But as far as this re-subdivision, it wouldn't affect what happens on his other parcels whatsoever. In regards to its, the proposed lot location relative to the stream, I think it's well over 300 feet. Thus, they don't need they did do a wetlands, I believe, they have from wetlands, and they did not need it in the wetlands permit for the construction of the single family house.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to come up? Okay, any further discussion by the committee?
Being that the applicant isn't here and the application isn't completed, do we need to, I suppose, further the public hearing to allow for more time?
Yeah, my recommendation would be to leave it open and continue. I advise them that would be the advice I give this commission, and that I know that they are actively working on test pits and getting an engineer to provide the data the health department needs, because their response on review was we need more information. So,
Okay. I don't know if we need a motion with that.
We need a motion to
Motion to
continue.
close and continue.
yeah, to the next regular scheduled meeting.
Okay, right here.
So I'll do a motion to extend this public hearing until the April meeting.
Second. Yeah, you got
Have
it.
a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's 6 ayes, Gary. Okay. Public hearing to be continued in April. Okay, so the next order of business here is the Catbird Lane re-subdivision.
Guess we can't vote on
We closed the public hearing last month. Gary, I believe you have a memo that you prepared.
I do. I'm happy to go through it.
Sure, please.
Bear with me, all might be a little lengthy, but I was asked to provide some findings for the commission. It was a very voluminous file in the end, so I'll just read this as quickly and clearly as I possibly can. To the East Lyme Wetland, East Lyme, it says Wetlands Commission, so my first error, starting off well. Correct that to the East Lyme Planning Commission from myself, dated January 10th, 2026, regarding the Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane re-subdivision Heritage Phase 3, Christian Clark, P.E., applicant, Hathaway Farm, LLC, owner. Application for a re-subdivision of approximately 1.20 acres and a waiver request from section 4-2-3, should be I, the stormwater management plan, and of land located at Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane, Tax Assessor's Map number 36, Lot 31, East Lyme, Connecticut, Zone RU40. Upon review of the above referenced application, the proposed 4-sheet plan set entitled Heritage at East Lyme Re-Subdivision of Assessor's Map 36, Lot 31, property of Hathaway Farm, LLC, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, dated September 1st, 2025, prepared by John Paul Marine, LS of Gerwick Marine, LLC, in sheet 404 entitled, quote, Conceptual Site Plan, Assessor's Map 36.0, Lot 31, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, scale 1 inch equals 40, dated July 29, 2025, revised to 11/23/2025, end quote, prepared by Timothy A. May, PEMA Engineering, LLC. I offer the following comments and findings. Whereas the Commission received the above reference application at its September 9, 2025 meeting, which, upon submittal, the application proposed a one-lot and along with a written waiver request for an exemption from Section 6-8-7 of the East Lyme subdivision regulations. Whereas the parcel of land constituting the property subject to this application is zoned RU40 rural residential, and the land abutting said parcel is also zoned RU40 rural residential. Whereas the Commission commenced a public hearing on November 10th, 2025, and continued the hearing to their December 15th, 2025 meeting, whereby the applicant granted the Commission an extension of time to conduct a public hearing to the Commission's January 13th, 2026 meeting, whereby the applicant again granted the Commission an additional extension of time to conduct the public hearing, and continued the hearing to the Commission's February 10th, 2026 meeting, upon which it was closed February 10th, 2026. Whereas the Commission has reviewed the application and received testimony from the applicant, his professionals, representatives, and the public. In addition, town staff provided the Commission with comment concerning this application's compliance with local requirements and regulations.
Whereas the East Lyme Planning Commission concluded the hearing closed the public hearing on February 10, 2026. Whereas the proposed subdivision is found to meet the requirements of the East Lyme subdivision regulations and the East Lyme Plan of Conservation and Development, POCD, as demonstrated by the following. Section 3.4, the Plan of Development. As the proposed subdivision is located within an existing RU40 zoning district, which is adjacent to existing residential lots zoned RU40 respectively, the proposed subdivision continues to follow the pattern of development characteristic of the existing residential development of an RU40 zoning district. As such, the proposed subdivision conforms to the comprehensive plan of the town of East Lyme as adopted by the Planning Commission. Section 4-2-11, easements and deeds, requires copies of all easements and deeds necessary to carry the subdivision plan into effect, conforming to the requirements of these regulations, including instruments proposed to be executed or delivered after approval of the application, shall be submitted. As demonstrated by Exhibit A, the subdivision design report provides a copy of the recently filed deeds reflecting the lot split of 3.87 acres of land between the East Lyme Land Trust and KSK Associates, LLC, and the conveyance of approximately 1.16 acres of land to KSK Associates, LLC, which comprises the subject parcel. Section 5-4, the sanitation report as indicated by Exhibit H of Exhibit A, the design report. Katie Baldwin, RS, Supervisor Environmental Health of Ledge Light Health District, dated May 6, 2025, indicates the soils testing and site plans are provided. Lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are suitable. Why should she put that here? I shouldn't say 1, 2, 3. It should say suitable in their current condition if and when several plan issues are addressed. Exhibit H of Exhibit RR indicates that the site development plan, Exhibit TT, was revised to reflect the percolation tests were performed, the scale corrected, and all other plans issues were addressed and incorporated into the revised re-subdivision site plan. Section 5-5, water supply report, as indicated in Exhibit H of Exhibit A, the design report. Katie Baldwin, RS, Supervisor of Environmental Health of the Ledge Light Health District, again dated May 6, 2025, indicates the soils testing and site plans are provided. And again, I have the same typo, lots 1, 2, 3, 4 are suitable. It should not be, it should just be the lot is suitable in its current condition if and when plan issues are addressed. Again, as such, Exhibit H of Exhibit RR indicated that the site development plan was revised to reflect the perk test that needed to be performed and the scale corrected. Again, all other plan issues were addressed and incorporated into the revised re-subdivision site plan. As such, each lot should be suitable to support a well and a code-complying septic system. Section 522E and Section 6-8 of the Stormwater Management Plan, section of the regulations, as indicated by an Exhibit X, a memo from Alex Close, PE, Deputy Director of Public Works and Town Engineer, dated December 11, 2025, indicates a portion of the runoff will be managed on-site through the use of a rain garden, and a driveway runoff will be directed to sheet flow southerly across the site before entering the roadway. In addition, Exhibit UU, a memo from Alex Close, PE, Deputy Director of Public Works and Town Engineer, dated February 3rd, 2026, further reiterates his previous review and indicates the revised plans as well as the supplemental stormwater management information meet the intent of Section 687 of the East Lyme subdivision regulations, and the proposed site development will not adversely affect the water quality of downstream water features or exacerbate any downstream flooding. Section 52-2-2, G, erosion and sedimentation control plan. The Heritage at East Lyme subdivision, re-subdivision of Assessor's Map 36, Lot 31. Property of Hathaway Farm LLC, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, dated September 1st, 2025, prepared by John Paul Marine, LS of Gerwick Marine LLC, and sheet 404, titled The Conceptual Site Plan. I'm not going to read all of that again. It's the same plan. Again, revised through November 23 of 2025. I would say that's worth noting. Prepared by Tim May, PE of May Engineering. Was prepared in accordance with the 2002 Connecticut E&S guidelines as amended. Review of the proposed erosion and sedimentation control plan revealed that the appropriate notes, details, and provisions regarding erosion and control measures adequate to control accelerated erosion and sediment and reduce the danger from stormwater runoff on the proposed site have been incorporated into the proposed plan, and therefore the Planning Commission may hereby certify that the soil and erosion and sedimentation control plan complies with the requirements and objectives of the subdivision regulations. Section 5-6, pesticide report, as evidenced by the subdivision design report in Exhibit A. There's no evidence of pesticide use exists. The subject property is sloping with ledge outcrops on its eastern and western boundaries. The soil conditions on the property demonstrate that it would prove difficult for use as farmland. Section 5.8, requiring the archaeological survey as evidenced by Exhibit C of the design report in Exhibit A. Correspondence from Dr. Sarah P. Sportman, Ph.D., state archaeologist, to myself, Director of Planning, dated September 2nd, 2025, indicates that while state files indicate that there are archaeological sites within a half a mile of the project area, and proximity to the brook might indicate archaeological potential, the soils in the project area generally are associated with low archaeological sensitivity. As such, given the topography and the soils, the development area has low potential to contain intact archaeological resources, and the OSA recommends no additional archaeological work in the project area as it is unlikely to yield significant information about the past. In regards to the open spaces, Section 6-7 of the regulations, as demonstrated by Exhibit J, letter from Paul Garrity, Esquire, to myself, Director of Planning, dated November 3rd, 2025, indicates the subject parcel of land was legally created in December of 2024, whereby KSK Associates, LLC, transferred 3.87 acres to the East Lyme Land Trust. And the East Lyme Land Trust, pursuant to an agreement with KSK, transferred approximately 1.16 acres to Hathaway Farm, LLC, and approximately 2.71 acres were retained by the East Lyme Land Trust, Inc., for the purposes of conservation. In addition, Exhibit NN, letter from Attorney Paul Garrity, Esquire, to Brian Bombach, Chairman, dated January 13, 2026, indicates that open space proposed in the Heritage Phase 1 subdivision was modified as a result of a re-subdivision of the Heritage subdivision in 1988 and was no longer identified as open space. Further, according to Exhibit G, the open space report, which is in Exhibit A, the design report, the Heritage at East Lyme subdivision totals 332 plus or minus acres in size. Approximately 225 acres of the 332 acres that make up this subdivision has been preserved as open space, which amounts to approximately 67.2% of the total land that has been subdivided. The open space requirement for the subdivision was initially 10%, or 32 acres. As such, open space has already been provided. Section 6-9, requirements regarding flooding, as indicated in Exhibit X, memorandum from Alex Close, P.E., Town Engineer, dated December 11, 2025. The applicant has demonstrated that a portion of the stormwater runoff from the proposed development can be managed on-site through the use of the rain garden, and the proposed site development will not adversely affect the water quality of downstream water features or exacerbate any downstream flooding. As such, the proposed plan meets the intent of Section 6.8 of the East Lyme subdivision regulations, and the proposed site development will not adversely affect the water quality of downstream water features or exacerbate any downstream flooding. Whereas demonstrated by Exhibit A, the application includes a written waiver request for an exemption from Section 6.8 stormwater requirements in Section 4-2-3I Stormwater Management Plan pursuant to Section 6-8-7 of the East Lyme subdivision regulations. And whereas pursuant to Section 4-12 of the East Lyme subdivision regulations, prior to the granting of any waiver, the Commission must find the following conditions exist. The waiver must be requested in writing. The applicant has submitted that in writing. See Exhibit A. The property for which the waiver is sought is affected by conditions which affect the property and are not generally applicable to other land in the area. The property does not appear to be affected by any conditions other than having been previously identified as open space in the original Heritage subdivision, which affects the property and is not generally applicable to the other land in the area. The physical features of the property or its location cause exceptional difficulty or unusual hardship in meeting the requirements of the regulations. Based on the proposed subdivision plan, the location of the existing parcel is such that the ledge outcroppings are the only physical features that exist that would create an unusual hardship in meeting the requirements of the subdivision regulations. Again, the granting of the waiver will not have a significant adverse effect upon adjacent property, the environment, or the public health and safety. The granting of a waiver would ultimately result in the permitting of the construction of a single-family dwelling on land which is in keeping with the underlying RU40 rural residential zoning. In addition, the proposed site development will not adversely affect the water quality of downstream water features or exacerbate any downstream flooding. Therefore, it appears the granting of the requested waiver will not significantly have any adverse effect upon adjacent property, the environment, or public health and safety. And then finally, the granting of the waiver will not be in conflict with the plan of conservation again. With the plan of conservation and development, again, the granting of the waiver would ultimately result in the permitting of the construction of a single-family dwelling on land which is in keeping with the underlying RU40 rural residential zoning district, as this is a one-lot subdivision which minimizes land disturbance, attempts to mitigate any potential adverse effects upon adjacent property, the environment, or the public health and safety. The proposed subdivision, as demonstrated by the record before the commission, is consistent with the East Lyme 2020 Plan of Conservation and Development, as it would simply be in keeping with the current pattern of development for the neighborhood. Whereas there are no inland wetlands or watercourses on the subject parcel, and therefore a report from the East Lyme Inland Wetland Agency is not statutorily required for the re-subdivision of land. It is worth noting a note be placed on the plan indicating that any activity within the 300-foot upland review area will require an inland wetlands permit from the agency or its agent prior to commencing any regulated activities pursuant to the East Lyme Inland Wetlands and Watercourses regulations. Whereas pursuant to section 445 of the subdivision regulations, the commission shall give approval to the application if it finds that the application, plans, and documents conform to the requirements of these regulations. Such approval shall be conditioned upon the presentation of suitable easements and deeds as applicable, as specified in section 4-2-10 of these regulations, and shall be conditioned upon the completion of all required subdivision improvements. In granting approval, the commission may attach conditions that it deems necessary to modify the subdivision map, plans, or documents, and to preserve the purpose and intent of these regulations. And based on the above findings, I offer the following resolution. It's a resolution for a waiver for the exemption in the subdivision application, and it reads as follows. Now therefore, based on the findings in the memorandum from Gary A. Gaishel II, Director of Planning to the East Lyme Planning Commission dated March 10, 2026, I hereby move to grant the exemption pursuant to section 6-8-7 for a waiver from section 4-2-3I of the subdivision regulations, and approve the application known as the application of Kristen Clark P.E. Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane Re-Subdivision, Heritage Phase 3, Kristen Clark P.E. applicant, Hathaway Farm LLC owner, application for a re-subdivision of approximately 1.20 acres, and a waiver request for an exemption from section 4-2-3I Stormwater Management Plan of land located at Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane, Tax Assessor's Map number 36, Lot number 31, East Lyme, Connecticut, zoned RU40, and the proposed 4-sheet plan set entitled Heritage at East Lyme Subdivision, re-subdivision of Assessor's Map 36.0, Lot 31, property of Hathaway Farm, LLC, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, dated September 1st, 2025, prepared by John Paul Marine, LS of Gerwick Marine, LLC, sheet 4 of 4, entitled Conceptual Site Plan, Assessor's Map 36.0, Lot 31, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, dated July 29, 2025, revised through 11/23/2025, prepared by Timothy A. May, P.E., of May Engineering, LLC, and the plan showing proposed conservation easement area, property of Hathaway Farm, LLC, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, dated January 1st, 2026, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, prepared by John Paul Marine, LS of Gerwick Marine, LLC, which is further subject to the following administrative requirements and required modifications to the site plan and/or other materials submitted in support of this application. An erosion and sedimentation control bond in the amount of satisfactory to the town engineer and planning director and in a form acceptable to the town of East Lyme Planning Commission, plus shall be posted with the town prior to the start of any site work, including but not limited to clearing, grubbing, and filling and grading. Copies of all deeds and easements, including instruments proposed to be executed or delivered after approval of the application, shall be submitted as specified in section 4-2-10 of the regulations and provided to the planning director for review and approval prior to the filing of the subdivision on the land record. 3, a note be placed on the plan indicating that any activity within the 300-foot upland review area, URA, will require an inland wetlands permit from the agency or its agents. 4, the developer of the lot shall apply for a right-of-way permit from the engineering department for the proposed house. 5, the applicable items above shall be accomplished prior to the filing of the subdivision on the land records or other documentation of planning approval. No further site work shall commence until all applicable conditions are satisfied. The approval is specific to the subdivision plan and submitted as the application, known as the application of Kristen Clark P.E., Cedarbrook Lane, Catbird Lane, Re-Subdivision, Heritage Phase 3, Kristen Clark P.E., applicant, Hathaway Farm LLC, owner, application for a re-subdivision of approximately 1.2 acres and waiver request from section 4-2-3I Stormwater Management Plan of land located at Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane, Tax Assessor's Map number 36, Lot 31, East Lyme, Connecticut, zoned RU40. Any changes in the subdivision plan shall require prior approval from the Commission and/or the Director of Planning. Any change in the development plan layout other than those identified herein shall constitute a new application. Lengthy.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a mouthful.
Could you repeat that? No, just kidding.
Yeah. Does anybody have any further comments? Is So I'd just like to say that, you know, this whole process has been very long. It's been on the docket for over a year. It's been a very complicated problem, trying to decipher the chronology of events since 1988 and the open space decisions. But the fact is that the open space was never formally dedicated in 1988. And that this subdivision has undergone many changes since its inception as a proposal to build 200 homes on 339 acres with 144 acres of open space, to what we have today of approximately 80 homes on 339 acres with 225 acres of open space. So overall, since its inception, this has been a win for increasing open space dedication. And despite the concerns of the public, which we heard through the public meetings, such as impact to the wildlife corridor or the impact to the construction on the nearby homes, and the many other valid concerns, the facts, in my opinion, are that this applicant has met all the zoning and re-subdivision requirements, and they've satisfied the waiver for storm water management plan relief. And the applicant has provided valid response to the zoning official letter dated on 11/10/25. And they've provided response to the neighborhood petitions. And they've provided valid response to the Conservation of Natural Resources letter dated 12/1. And the proposal complies, as Gary stated, with the POCD relative to single-family home in a residential development. So, in my opinion, although there'll be many disappointed people, it appears to me that this applicant has a legal right to develop the property. So I just wanted to get that on record. We spent a lot of time going through this myriad of documents, so we did put the time and effort into it, and we considered everybody's opinion and comments. So unless anybody has any questions, I'll ask for a motion to vote on this application.
My only comments is that I did have discussions with, and I think it was brought up during one of the hearings. Mr. Gary had indicated that the 2.87 acres that was remaining, the tail portion of this, that was actually not a part of the subject. It was previously, it was part of when the parcel was originally 3 acres. So there's 2 acres remaining that the land trust holds. They're willing to convey that to the town for, my understanding, nothing. So I just, it's not part of this application. Just think I wanted to note that something that I would support in regards to our town range actually goes into that portion. So if the town would require it, that would be the rationale for its acquisition. So if in fact the land trust is willing to convey that to the town, I'll work on looking at something with Dan. And obviously, if the town were to acquire it, it had to come before this commission as an 8-24.
And that's that horseshoe portion that comes off the top?
Correct.
Okay.
I just had a quick question for Mr. Geisha. Are there, it's a little odd talking about this property and whether or not this was properly conveyed, you know, a year before I was actually born, but are there other property, like areas in town that were concerned that this may not have been properly conveyed? Because I guess I really just don't want to see this come up.
We may have heard from some testimony from Mr. Torrance that there is in fact still within this subdivision.
Yeah, I thought I remembered that.
Have a similar situation. And I think there's some of that does exist elsewhere in town. I don't know maybe where, but there's not over 9,000 parcels in town, so I have a suspicion that there could be some subdivisions out there where open space just got overlooked, was conveyed. We have things like there was a parcel on Red Fox Road. It was approved back in 1959 with as a recreation area. It was different under the regulations. I mean, they were like double as open space. So that, unfortunately, that lot got sold off in a tax sale through
I was in high school.
an appeal of the zoning official's decision to deny a zoning permit for a single-family house out there because I had indicated it was a recreation area. This is one of these issues that.
I guess I would just like, if there's any way that the planning commission, I guess, can assist in trying to solve that. It seems to be an issue that a lot of people in this town were not happy about. And I understand completely of why they weren't happy about it. And, you know, I think that the expectation, if we say something's open space, that it actually is. And clearly we were, not we, I just mean, a lot of people in town were incorrect, that this had not been properly conveyed.
Yeah, if in fact it was not properly conveyed. I think with the way, in looking at this application, I think it's at least more akin to something like Darrow's Ridge and Nottingham Hills, which those were approved just prior to my employment with the town. But I had to deal with the aftermath of some of that. And those subdivisions did, I guess, massage, if you will, the open space and relocated it. So at the end, when they were both finalized or completely built out, the open spaces, it's the configuration that we know of it today on the open space map. But they had open space that was not even adjacent to the subdivision up by Ottru's Turnpike, nowhere near Upper Kensington. So it was just the idea that you can move the open space around in a subdivision certainly is plausible, and especially if it's phased. Maybe we want to be more diligent as we approve a phased subdivision that, similar to the Twin Valley subdivision on Spring Rock Road, where here's a 20-lot subdivision. Well, they didn't have to necessarily convey the open space to the town immediately, but they did. So that solved any future issue there. So,
Okay.
So I think that might be a good policy, more of an internal policy that we require the conveyance of the open space along when they file the bylaws.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the committee for indulging my question.
Yeah, I agree with that. My opinion was, from the beginning, I didn't like this application at all. And I appreciated the public comment on everything, and they legally have the right to develop there. I was on a seesaw over this whole thing, and I hate that it's dragged out as long as it has, and I really hope we can put this all behind us. But I'm happy to hear that they're willing to at least donate the remainder of that land to the town. That kind of sweetens the deal a bit. That's my opinion.
We certainly did, as Brian and everybody mentioned, we certainly did due diligence. There was debate whether a subdivision application was even required at all, and I feel for the people. I understand their concerns, but I kind of concur with the previous thoughts. Do we have to grant the exception for stormwater and approval of the application? That has to be done separately, or can we do it together?
You can do it separately, or you can, in this motion, I combined it, but you have to technically grant the exemption first,
Right.
because otherwise
Jeff,
it wouldn't comply.
are we ready for a motion to approve or disapprove the waiver request for the stormwater management plan? Does anybody want to enter a motion to approve the waiver?
I'll submit a motion, I guess. I hereby move to grant the exemption pursuant to Section 6-8-7 for a waiver from Section 423I of the subdivision regulations.
Second?
Second.
Anybody? All right, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's 6 in favor, Gary. All right, moving on. Do we have a motion to approve the application for the Catbird Lane re-subdivision?
Sure. So I'm going to read this whole thing?
If you'd like.
All right.
Excluding the stormwater waiver, I guess. We just
And that
did
is,
right here.
okay.
Waiver request for stormwater.
All right, so where is it on here? Because I'm going to read off of this
Okay.
memorandum. I don't really see it on here. All right. All right, well, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application known as application of Kristen Clark, P.E., Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane re-subdivision, Heritage Phase 3, Kristen Clark, P.E., applicant, Hathaway Farm, LLC, owner, application for a re-subdivision of approximately 1.2 acres. And we're going to skip the waiver of land located at Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane, tax assessor's map number 36, lot 31, East Lyme, Connecticut, zoned RU40, and the proposed 4-sheet plan set entitled Heritage at East Lyme Subdivision, re-subdivision of assessor's map 36.0, lot 31, property of Hathaway Farms, LLC, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, dated September 1st, 2025, prepared by John Paul Marine, L.S. of Gerwick Marine, LLC, Sheet 4 of 4 entitled Conceptual Site Plan, Assessor's Map 36.0, Lot 31, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, scale 1 to 40, dated July 29th, 2025, revised 11/23/2025, prepared by Timothy A. May, P.E. of May Engineering, LLC, and the plan showing proposed conservation easement area, property of Hathaway Farm, LLC, Cedarbrook Lane, East Lyme, Connecticut, dated January 1st, 2026, scale 1 to 20, prepared by John Paul Marine, L.S. of Gerwick Marine, LLC, which is further subject to the following administrative requirements and required modifications to the site plan and/or other materials submitted in support of this application. 1, an erosion and sediment control bond in the amount satisfactory to the town engineer and planning director and in a form acceptable to the Town of East Lyme Planning Commission shall be posted with the town prior to the start of any site work, including but not limited to clearing, grubbing, filling, and grading. 2, copies of all deeds and easements, including instruments proposed to be executed or delivered after approval of the application, shall be submitted as specified in Section 4-2-10 of the regulations and provided to the planning director for review and approval prior to the filing of the subdivision on the land record. 3, a note placed on the plan indicating that any activity within the 300-foot upland review area will require an inland wetlands permit from the agency or its agent. 4, the developer of the lot shall apply for a right-of-way permit from the engineering department for the proposed home. And number 5, the applicable items shall be accomplished prior to the filing of the subdivision on the land records or other documentation of planning approval, and no further site work shall commence until all applicable conditions are satisfied. This approval is specific to the subdivision plan submitted as the application known as the application of Kristen Clark, P.E., Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane re-subdivision. Heritage Phase 3, Kristen Clark, P.E., applicant, Hathaway Farm, LLC, owner, application for a re-subdivision of approximately 1.2 acres and a waiver request from Section 4-2-3, Stormwater Management Plan of land located at Cedarbrook Lane and Catbird Lane, Tax Assessor's Map 36, number 36, lot number 31, East Lyme, Connecticut, zoned RU40. Any changes in the subdivision plan shall require prior approval from the commission and/or the director of planning. Any change in the development plan layout other than those identified herein shall constitute a new application.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. We'll take a vote. Those in favor? Aye.
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 That's 6 in favor, Gary. Okay, so that's approved. Nice motion there, Tim.
Thank you.
So next up is the 29 Upper Walnut Hill re-subdivision. We won't be discussing that now because okay, table that. Moving on to zoning referrals. The application of Nathan Bonar, proposed text amendment to section 1.9 of the East Lyme zoning regs to update the definition of a brew pub to include all alcoholic beverages. Zoning's just looking for our,
Yeah, consistency with.
Consistent.
Development. So certainly, as a commercial development, in terms of supporting that, yeah, this would definitely allow them to sell more. In that regard, definitely consistent. However, my note of caution here is a brew pub. What is that? Right? What is a brew pub? What's the intent behind it? And I think initially approving the regulations, right, the zoning commission, I'm just referring here, was thinking brew pub and just beer. So I don't know, I think, by adding in, the ability to sell anything, any liquor, now I think we're straying from brew pub to what? A bar. My understanding, we don't allow bars in town without the sale of food. So basically, you have a restaurant with an in-house bar. That's my understanding. The only way you can have a bar in town is to combine it with a restaurant. So, you have to have a full-fledged eating establishment.
Yeah, and that,
In order to serve alcohol and liquor. So my feeling is that it's a little inconsistent in that regard. If the intent here is just to have a brew pub and to allow only the sale of liquor in wholesale, food establishments, restaurants, then I would say that defeats the purpose.
Do you know if they are brewing beer on site?
My understanding is, yes,
Okay.
we have brew equipment on site, kettles, and I'm not sure how many barrels they are.
I did want to ask something about that, just because our understanding is that state law does currently say, like, you need a special type of application to be able to do that in and of itself as well.
Correct.
Is that, yeah, there's,
They have to meet the Connecticut laws as well. I mean, this would be the first step to get the town approval. Yeah, some of the hoops they'll have to jump through. But certainly, once they get the town approval, I think the rest is pretty easy.
yeah.
So, my opinion is, I think this just is kind of in opposition to the regs and not really
Yeah.
consistent with what the town is really looking to do in terms of development and use. I think, in my opinion, so far so good in terms of, we don't have any exclusive bars. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying, but again,
It seems like I'd be creating a loophole to me.
yeah. And I think their intent was we wanted eating establishments, but so my opinion is inconsistent.
Agree.
This is just the text, but there's no technical application yet for a new one of these.
No, this was just the application
Yeah.
change. Yeah, this would be their first step to, I guess they want to sell liquor, so in order for them to do that, they'd have to take the first step, change the regulation to allow it.
Nice.
Go to the zoning commission and then ask their permission and then apply to the state or something.
But if they did serve food, then they could go ahead and do that.
I think if they turned into, like a restaurant, they'd have to get, I know they have tables in there, so I think they'd have to get some ovens
You know, like,
something out.
I mean, like, some of the breweries just serve basic food, but,
Yeah.
but they're trying to expand their market, I understand, because the young people don't really drink beer, they're going away from that, so they're going alcohol. So,
Yeah, there's currently a regulation in there from the state that if you have that type of license, you're not able to also serve liquor unless you then can also serve food, and then it gets a little confusing. And frankly, I know that's something that we were trying to do with the state, but it is confusing, and there's debate between the bars of what they should do in the breweries as well. So it gets complicated.
and I understand, they're trying to expand.
Super familiar with the state law as far as
I think
what you have to have, whether it's beer and liquor together.
Well, it gives them more, because like I said, younger generation.
What do you think, Brian?
Honestly, I could go either way, but I could see it's promoting more business, which is kind of a positive thing, but I understand what Gary's saying too. opinion just provides an advisory input to the zoning, so just be a data point for them. I'm really mixed on this one.
Yeah, I will say that I am too. I mean, ultimately, I'm like, I don't know if the POCD is really the right document to be dealing
Right.
with.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's more like, let's look
I'm
at.
trying to go through it, I can't really, I mean,
really
you did
not.
talk about commercial development, I can't
Yeah.
really.
Just pass.
Yeah.
Well,
They get the final say anyways.
yeah,
They get,
Sure.
they'll get final say anyways.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I mean, could we, like, is the question, like, do we have to choose to include all alcoholic beverages or vote no? Like, could we go look at it and then come back with some kind of, like, understanding of the different definitions of?
Well, we're not voting on this. We're only referring to the zoning on this, what we think of it. If it's inconsistent or consistent.
Whether it's consistent with the POCD.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, under the statute, their charge is to determine whether a regulation change or a zone change is consistent with the plan. So the only document they have to weigh this stuff against is the POCD, and if you look at the POCD, it's very general. And in my opinion, you can take just about anything and define where it's compliant and where it's not compliant.
Okay.
Or consistent, I would say, shouldn't say not consistent. So it's a little more subjective, and so I can see where they're on the fence, where, yes, we want to promote economic development, so we have a section there that says, let's do this, right? And then you look at community character, and that's another kind of, trying to promote a particular character. Again, zoning had adopted the group of regulations specifically because that's what they wanted, or we're willing to tolerate. And I know, whether or not they'll approve this, I have no idea. But if my understanding is, for as long as I've been here in town, which is approximately 17 years, the policy is kind of, if you wanted to serve liquor or alcohol, you need to have a restaurant. And that was specifically done that way, like the zoning had determined that, because I think it was, we're going to eliminate this perception of perceived crime that comes with those uses if you just have a bunch of bars throughout town. 40 some odd years later, here we are. So I think it has worked, I think to some degree, I don't know if it's better otherwise. But I think if their intent is to do that, is to have restaurants and bars, then this clearly defeats that purpose. So I think overall, technically, is it consistent with the plan? Yeah. Caveat that, you're shooting yourself in the foot if your intent is to
Yeah.
fix this.
I mean, ultimately, I suppose we could say that this is technically compliant. It's compliant with the POCD in the sense that it is a bit outside of this specific provision of whether or not it's a brew pub or an alcoholic beverage is kind of a little outside of what the POCD deals with.
Yeah, I agree on that. It's kind of outside our wheelhouse at this point, but I mean,
It's not like is the change going to increase traffic?
Yeah. I can't think of a lot of
Not significantly enough that.
I don't
I'm not really
even-
sure where it fits in other than economics.
Yeah.
I don't even see the word alcohol or liquor in the POCD.
Yeah, I didn't.
Doing the search through it. Or bar.
Is there anything about lewd acts or anything?
Is there a third option? You can say
We can go there.
Yeah, like I said,
unrelevant,
I mean-
not relevant?
I guess I would say is like we can propose that while it is technically compliant, it just is there?
It's
I'm
not
just trying-
relevant, yeah.
it's not really anything that we have to deal with.
I'll just add that, and if the commission does not act on it, it will just be construed as consistent.
They're gonna make
So
decisions.
statutorily, that's what they'll do.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the statute says, if the commission doesn't act, they'll have to use it.
All right.
But it's neither consistent or inconsistent.
Then
Can we say that?
you can say that, to report back to them,
Okay.
Sure,
in
what,
which case, they need a majority vote anyway to pass.
Yeah.
You decide to approve it, sorry.
That's
Yeah.
always the thing. Is that they can
You can say that, motion that is neither consistent or inconsistent. You
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
do we have
I
a
think I'm
motion
okay with
to,
I would like to make a motion that we, as the planning development, find this text amendment neither consistent, excuse me, or inconsistent with the plan of conservation and development.
Second.
Vote, all in favor?
Aye.
6-0 on that one. Okay, moving on. Applicant of Jeffrey McNamara proposed text amendment to Section 5 of the East Lyme zoning regs to add Section 5-10 to permit educational or philanthropic use of by a nonprofit corporation on 50 acres or more. The RU 40 zone by special permit and Section 25.5 with additional controls.
So this is specific to, I think, one parcel in town. There's a individual here tonight, I don't know this. In regard to that, it only affects parcels 50 acres or more. So I have not gone through to determine how many parcels are left. 50 acres or larger in the RU 40 zone. But I will just note that if you look to the map on your left, the zoning map there, everything in brown, and then that RU 4020, which is the light gray, really comprises everything that's zone RU 40. So that will be the area affected by this regulation.
Gary, is there a nonprofit organization tied to this land already?
There is a nonprofit on one of the parcels that are 50 acres or more. So in terms of the use, I certainly think it's, you know, I'd have to, I haven't looked at this in great detail. I don't necessarily think it's inconsistent with the plan. I think the zoning commission will need to take a close look at some special use conditions, right? Making sure they address traffic patterns, circulation, parking, you know, sanitary disposal, waste disposal, all of those things that they normally have to do anyway. Just ensure that they have proper provisions for it. So it looks like this change would just allow the use within the zone. I don't really see the changes, the additional controls that would propose for section 25.5. So I really can't speak on it.
Does anybody know of any areas in the POCD that would be applicable to something like this?
I'm trying to find one. I don't
I thought we
see.
had one that had to do with the use of that part of the town, but I can't find it right now. So I looked this up the last time.
I mean, the only thing it says is farmland opposed to residentials, and the fact that the residentials generate tax revenue, farmland does not. So
Right.
I really don't see a problem here with it being inconsistent. It looks pretty consistent to me. Support, everything is preserve farmland, support
Yeah.
farmland, preserve farmland.
I did actually find the one thing that I hadn't here, which I thought did have to do with just in the recommendations, which is the East Lymes expressed the desire to promote educational and fun farm-based events. That's on page 20. I felt like this kind of seemed to tie into that. You can read the whole thing. It's more specifically about like giving gardens and stuff.
Yeah, it seems.
Yeah. Ooh, if you're pulling that chart up.
Chapter 2, under agricultural resources, if you're trying to look at that one.
You want me to go
Oh, no, I didn't know if that's what you were doing.
No, I'm just cursory, just a quick.
Yep.
Educational or philanthropic.
Charity type
Yeah.
stuff, right? So
I guess
I don't find anything.
Chapter 9, I guess the sustainable CT actions, Let's see. Supporting educational programs, I guess.
That seems to be two provisions in there that would
Yeah.
support it.
I mean, I think we have enough to go off of here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a
All right.
motion?
Yeah, motion to find the proposed text amendment to Section 5 of the East Lyme zoning regulations to be consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development.
Second?
Vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 6 ayes in favor. All righty. Municipal referrals, none tonight. Old business, Gary, do we want to do anything with this tonight?
So I did talk to Tim, I just updated him. He had a bit of a conflict with this evening, he called me. I guess he's also been letting our water for providing services to them. So the conflict there, I did talk to him, and we were going to push this out to next month, but I think that I also said that unless you want to do a special meeting, considering that we have, we're going to be having a public hearing next month on 46 Brainerd Road in addition to Walnut Hill. So just scheduling wise, it might be wise to just pull this off the agenda and do a special meeting if the commission can do that. It would be later on in the month. We can do it on a Tuesday. I just have to find room availability. That's the only conflict I have. The water and sewer meeting here. I think it's either the third or fourth Tuesday of the month.
You talking later on in March?
In March, if that's, so I'm just putting that out there now. Do you think
Okay.
if the commission thinks it'll be available in 2 weeks, then I'll work with Tim on making sure that we do a special meeting, and that's all we'll focus on.
Sounds reasonable to me, unless anybody has any. Okay, let's do that. Yep. Okay, moving on to new business, 46 Brainerd Road re-subdivision, John Paul Abarca, applicant Nellie Abarca, owner. Application for a one-lot re-subdivision of approximately 4.43 acres and open space waiver on property located at 46 Brainerd Road. So we received their application.
Correct. So it's currently under review by staff. As this requires a public hearing, obviously we're not going to have any discussion this evening. We'll
Okay.
schedule that for next month.
Okay.
See any reason why we need to delay it any further?
Okay.
Yeah, I just had, I'm sorry, is this for one lot? Oh, no, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I submitted it as 1 acre re-subdivision.
Yeah.
with
Yeah, it's
one
one
lot.
lot.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I misread it. I
Yep.
apologize.
Okay, so we'll shoot for the public hearing next month. All right, that moves us to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
At 6-0. End meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
The last time.
Thank you all.